Most people think submarines just dive down and drive around underwater like cars on a road. But submarine pilots navigate in complete three-dimensional space with zero visibility, crushing pressure, and the constant threat of equipment failure. It's one of the most technically demanding and mentally intense jobs on the planet. So, how does someone actually become a submarine pilot? What does navigation look like when you can't see anything? And how much do these specialized professionals actually make? Let's break it down. First, let's clarify what a submarine pilot actually does. Unlike surface ships where you can see where you're going, submarine pilots navigate entirely by instruments. They're responsible for controlling the submarine's depth, speed, and direction while avoiding underwater obstacles, other vessels, and the ocean floor itself. Think about it this way. You're piloting a massive vessel that weighs thousands of tons through pitch-black water. You can't see 5 feet in front of you. You're relying entirely on sonar, navigation systems, and your training. One mistake could mean collision, flooding, or worse. The pressure is literal and metaphorical. There are actually different types of submarine pilots. Military submarine pilots operate nuclear-powered attack submarines and ballistic missile submarines for navies around the world. Commercial submarine pilots work on research submarines, underwater tour submarines, and deep-sea exploration vehicles. Then there are specialty pilots who operate remotely operated vehicles and submersibles for scientific research and underwater construction. The military path is the most common. In the U.S. Navy, becoming a submarine officer requires graduating from the Naval Academy or completing officer candidate school. Then you attend nuclear power school, one of the most academically rigorous military training programs in existence. The failure rate is significant because the material is essentially a compressed nuclear engineering degree. After nuclear training, you attend submarine officer basic course. This is where you learn the specific skills of submarine operations: navigation, sonar operation, weapons systems, emergency procedures, damage control. You're learning to operate one of the most complex machines ever built while hundreds of feet underwater. The navigation itself is fascinating and complex. Submarines use a combination of systems. Inertial navigation systems track the submarine's position based on its movements from a known starting point. GPS only works on the surface, so once you dive, you're relying on inertial guidance and periodic updates when you surface or come to periscope depth. Sonar is critical for submarine navigation. Active sonar sends out sound waves and listens for echoes, but it gives away your position. Passive sonar just listens, detecting other vessels and mapping the underwater environment without revealing your location. Submarine pilots need to interpret sonar data constantly, distinguishing between threats, obstacles, and normal ocean sounds. Depth control is more complex than most people realize. Submarines don't just go up and down like elevators. They use ballast tanks that flood with water to descend and blow water out with compressed air to ascend. But they also use diving planes, like airplane wings, to control their angle and depth while moving. The pilot is constantly adjusting ballast, speed, and plane angles to maintain the desired depth. The stakes are incredibly high. At depth, the water pressure is enormous. Go too deep and the hull could implode. Come up too fast, and you could breach the surface unexpectedly, revealing your position or causing damage. Navigate incorrectly, and you could collide with underwater mountains, other submarines, or surface ships. Communication adds another layer of complexity. Submarines operate in radio silence to avoid detection. They use extremely low-frequency radio waves that can penetrate water, but the data rate is incredibly slow. A simple message can take minutes to transmit. Pilots often operate for weeks without real-time communication with command. Living conditions make the job even more challenging. Submarine crews live in cramped quarters with recycled air and artificial light. They work rotating shifts, often 6 hours on, 6 hours off. Sleep is irregular. The food is decent but repetitive. You're isolated from the world for months at a time with the same small group of people. The commercial submarine pilot path is different but equally demanding. Research submarine pilots often have backgrounds in marine biology, oceanography, or engineering. They pilot submersibles like those used by organizations like Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution or OceanGate. These vehicles explore the deep ocean, film documentaries, and conduct scientific research. Training for commercial submarine pilots involves certification programs through organizations like the Association of Diving Contractors International. You need extensive diving experience, mechanical aptitude, and the ability to remain calm under extreme pressure. Many commercial pilots start as support divers or submersible technicians before moving into pilot roles. Tourist submarine pilots have their own unique challenges. They operate submarines that take paying customers down to view coral reefs, shipwrecks, and marine life. Safety is paramount because you're responsible for civilian passengers. The routes are planned and tested, but you still need to navigate precisely and handle any emergencies that arise. Deep-sea exploration pilots face the most extreme conditions. Pilots like those who dove to the Titanic or the Mariana Trench operate at depths that would instantly kill an unprotected human. The pressure at the deepest parts of the ocean is over 1,000 times surface pressure. The submersibles are engineering marvels, and the pilots need nerves of steel. Now let's talk about what submarine pilots actually earn. Military submarine officers in the U.S. start around $50,000 to $60,000 per year as ensigns. But with submarine duty pay, nuclear duty pay, and other allowances, compensation increases significantly. Experienced submarine commanding officers can make well over $100,000 with 20 years of benefits and retirement. Commercial submarine pilots typically earn between $60,000 and $120,000 per year, depending on experience and the type of operation. Research submarine pilots at major institutions might make $70,000 to $90,000. Tourist submarine pilots often earn $50,000 to $80,000. Deep-sea exploration pilots for specialized missions can command much higher rates, sometimes $200,000 or more for expedition work. The job outlook varies by sector. Military submarine forces are always recruiting, though the standards are extremely high. Only a small percentage of candidates make it through the training pipeline. Commercial submarine work is more limited but steady. There are relatively few positions, but also relatively few qualified pilots. The physical demands are real. You need to pass rigorous medical exams. Vision, hearing, cardiovascular health all matter. Claustrophobia is an obvious disqualifier. You also need excellent spatial reasoning, the ability to think in 3 dimensions constantly, and the capacity to remain calm when things go wrong. Mental resilience is just as important as physical capability. You're in a confined space with limited contact with the outside world. Equipment failures happen. Weather affects operations. You might be sitting on the ocean floor for hours waiting for conditions to improve. The isolation and pressure get to some people. The career progression in military submarine service is clear. You start as a junior officer, work your way up through department head positions, eventually command your own submarine if you're among the best. Many submarine officers transition to civilian careers after military service, using their technical skills in engineering, project management, or defense contracting. For commercial pilots, career paths are more varied. You might specialize in scientific research, moving between different research institutions and projects. Or you could work for a company operating tourist submarines, potentially managing operations or training new pilots. Some pilots become consultants, designing new submersibles or training programs. The technology is constantly evolving. Modern submarines have increasingly sophisticated automation and navigation systems. But automation doesn't replace the pilot. It enhances their capabilities while adding new systems to understand and manage. Future submarine pilots will need even more technical knowledge as systems become more complex. There's also the security clearance aspect for military submarine pilots. Nuclear submarines carry highly classified technology and weapons. The background investigation is exhaustive. Your finances, relationships, travel history, everything gets scrutinized. Maintaining clearance requires ongoing lifestyle restrictions and periodic reinvestigations. One aspect that surprises many people is the teamwork required. Submarine pilots don't operate alone. They work with sonar operators, engineers, weapons officers, and the commanding officer. Communication is constant. Trust is absolute. Everyone's life depends on everyone else doing their job perfectly. The sense of accomplishment in this career is unique. You're operating at the edge of human capability in one of Earth's most hostile environments. You're part of a small elite group with skills that very few people possess. Whether you're defending your country, advancing scientific knowledge, or exploring the unknown, the work matters. So is submarine piloting right for you? If you have strong technical aptitude, can handle extreme pressure both literal and figurative, and want a career that's genuinely unique, it could be perfect. It's not for everyone. The training is brutal, the conditions are challenging, and the stakes are life and death. But for those who make it, submarine piloting offers an unmatched combination of technical challenge, adventure, and purpose. If that's how submarine pilots actually navigate underwater. It's not what you see in movies. It's more difficult, more technical, and more impressive than most people imagine. These professionals operate in an environment that would kill most people in seconds, and they do it with precision and calm that borders on the superhuman.